morning, I'm Alicia Menendez. Donald Trump's campaign of retribution is now taking direct aim at the Democratic Party's top fundraising platform, ActBlue. Just in the past few hours, the president signed a memorandum directing Attorney General Pam Bondi to, quote, investigate allegations regarding the unlawful use of online fundraising platforms to make straw or dummy contributions or foreign contributions to political candidates and committees, and to take all appropriate actions to enforce the law. Congressional Republicans have separately been investigating these claims of straw and foreign donations, which thus far have been unsubstantiated. Now, for those at home who may not be familiar with the name ActBlue, it is widely considered to be one of the pillars of the Democrats' digital ecosystem. It has given them a significant advantage over Republicans in terms of small dollar fundraising. And it's not just presidential candidates, also candidates for congressional, state, and local races. Odds are, if you have donated to a Democratic candidate or a Democratic cause in the past several years, it's probably been through ActBlue. And this move by the president today could have major consequences for Democratic candidates, potentially hurting their ability to bring in donations and therefore compete in future elections. And it comes as the Associated Press is reporting that in the first 3 months of this year alone, donors have given more than $400 million to Democratic candidates through ActBlue, which is the most money raised in any first quarter in the organization's two-decade history. In response to this memorandum, ActBlue said in a statement, the Trump administration's and GOP's targeting of ActBlue is part of their brazen attack on democracy in America. Today's escalation by the White House is blatantly unlawful, needs to be seen for what it is. Donald Trump's latest front in his campaign to stamp out all political, electoral, and ideological opposition. This administration continues to weaponize the instruments of federal power in an unprecedented assault on our democracy. ActBlue will immediately pursue all legal avenues to protect and defend itself against the administration's baseless claims. Joining me now, Tiffany Muller, president of End Citizens United, and Andrew Weissmann, former FBI general counsel and MSNBC legal analyst. It is good to see you both. Andrew, tell me what you make of this memorandum.
Well, I have so many different opinions here, but first, obviously, just because you are a Democratic sort of campaign contribution entity, if you've engaged in wrongdoing, then you should be subject to an investigation in criminal laws. That's sort of an obvious statement. I mean, nothing immunizes you from that. The problem is that you can't view this in isolation, given all of the things that Donald Trump has done that are consistently being struck down by the courts as violative of the Constitution, and viewing this as part of a political retribution that you see sort of over and over again. Second, this is not how you announce a criminal investigation. This is something you first investigate the facts. You do that privately. That is the tradition and the integrity of the Department of Justice that is being thrown out the window by this president.
So what would that look like, right? In a normal functioning DOJ, if the suspicion was that there were donations coming in other people's names, that's what we're referring to as straw donations. If there were suspicions that there were donations from foreign individuals, from foreign entities that were not being properly marked, DOJ would investigate first, and then they would come to the public with what?
So they would come to the public if and only if a grand jury determined that there was sufficient evidence to go forward and a criminal case would be brought. One thing I do want to make sure people understand is the irony, maybe some would say hypocrisy, of what is going on right now. Pam Bondi, on day one, said, I am stopping Foreign Agent Registration Act investigations except in sort of limited category, that there will not be sort of criminal investigations of the Foreign Agents Registration Act. Foreign influence in this country, including in elections. She disbanded foreign election interference, the task force that was created for this. But apparently that's okay when you focus on Democrats. I mean, that is the thing that I think would really be something that ActBlue will sort of focus on, which is, like, you just announced that this is something you do not care about writ large. And suddenly, when you think it's something that we may have done, but you haven't established any facts or presented them yet, at least, now it's suddenly something you care about. That to me is a sort of big red flag for this actually being exactly what Act Blue is saying it is, which is something that is real politicization of not just the White House, but the Department of Justice.
Right. Tiffany, big picture, this may be an attack on democracy. It is also an effort on the part of Republicans to cripple their opponents' political infrastructure. What does the impact of that actually look like?
Yeah, well, look, at In Citizens United, we are proud to be powered by these kind of grassroots donors. We have 4 million members across the country, and they are retired teachers and firefighters who give $10 or $15, who just want to make their voices heard in our democracy and who want to not just be drowned out by the big billionaire money. And what Donald Trump has done in his 100 days, it is 100 days of corruption and chaos and self-dealing. And what he's trying to do is weaponize DOJ and the federal government to go after one of the strengths of the Democratic Party's infrastructure. And that is, they may have the biggest billionaires, but we have the people with us. And this is really about empowering those people to be involved in democracy. And he wants to shut that down and give even more power to the big billionaire cronies.